Alright guys, MTech Guy here, and today we've got a nice easy job on the little 1 series. We're going to be looking at changing out the power steering fluid. Now this is a job I look at doing maybe every 3 to 4 years, and I normally change the cap O-ring at the same time because these things really like to leak and make a big mess. I've recently detailed my engine bay here, so that's all nice and clean now, but it does need that new O-ring gasket. And at the same time, while we're in the area, it is worth checking all these hoses because these do like to leak over time, and it is worth replacing these hoses if you are seeing a bit of a mess down there. Now this is a nearly 1 series E87. It's got the hydraulic power steering. This one's actually a Japanese import and they all came with hydraulic steering. But anyhow, today we're going to be using the CHF 11S power steering fluid, and at the same time we're going to be replacing that O-ring. Like I say, there's the part number for anybody that's paying attention. Now then, there are 2 different ways of going about this job. Now you can jack the front of the car up and remove one of the lines from either the pump or the rack itself and let all that fluid drain out, but that's not my favourite way of doing it because it usually makes a massive mess underneath the car. You end up with fluid all over your power steering rack, your sway bar, all the equipment under the car. It's a bit of a pain. Some people like to do it that way because you do drain the majority of the fluid out of the system. Now the way I like to do it is just siphon the fluid out of the reservoir, fill it with new stuff, and then just cycle the pump and turn the wheels from lock to lock, get that pumping right the way through the system. You are essentially diluting it, and then you come back, suck the fluid out, put some new stuff in, and repeat the process maybe 2, 3, 4 times. And yes, I know there are some viewers out there that have mocked me for using this process in the past in my previous videos, but even if you pull that line from the bottom and let it all drain out, and even turning it from lock to lock to push all the fluid out of the power steering rack, you're never going to get 100% of that old fluid out of there. So even doing it this way, if you suck it out and top it up enough times, you generally get to the point where you've changed like 95, 98% of the fluid anyhow. I've been doing it this way for years and I've never had a problem, so I'm sticking to doing it this way, but of course it's your car, you do as you like. Alright, so to start off with, we'll remove the cap, and I'm going to use an old soap dispenser pump that I'm going to use to suck out all the fluid. I don't like messing around with turkey basters. I'd rather just go get it out of there, and then we'll top it up with some new stuff, let the system circulate, turn it lock to lock, we'll suck it out, and then just do the process several times until we're happy that we've got some nice fresh fluid right the way through the system. Alright, let's get into it. just let that circulate for a couple of minutes. Give it another push through the system. So that's the second lot. We'll fire her up again. Just let that circulate for a couple of minutes, and then we'll turn her lock to lock a few times, and then we're ready to suck out that second lot, put a third lot in. You can see the stream that's coming out that pump. It's starting to look a bit paler now, a bit greener, compared to that real black looking fluid that came out with the initial drain. There's the third lot. Right, now then, we'll give that a push through the system again. Man, I tell you what, it still feels weird with this whole pushing the key and the stop start button. I'm old school, I much prefer the key in the side of the steering column there. But what are you going to do, eh? You know what? I reckon I've got enough fluid just to do one more drain and fill. Look at that coming out of there now, it looks much nicer. So by the time we get that out of there, and get it refilled with another load of new fluid. I think that's going to be near enough the power steering fluid changed. Alright guys, before we get too carried away, I think what we'll do is clean up this cap a bit. We'll chuck on the new O-ring, and then she should be all leak free for another 3 or 4 years hopefully. Bit of brake clean. And make sure you get the breather hole cleaned out there also. Bit of a poke and a prod. These do like to get gunked up over time. This one doesn't look too bad. There we go, that's nice and clean now, so we'll remove this old O-ring. These like to get well stuck on there, squashed. There we go. A nice new one. Perfect. Alright, before we forget, we better top this thing up with some fresh fluid. We'll just check the level before we leave it. That'll do us. Done. Alright guys, so there we have it. That's all the power steering fluid changed out for nice fresh new fluid, and this is a super easy DIY you can do yourselves. It's not going to cost you much money, and like I say, it should last you for a good 3 or 4 years, and then you can come back, repeat the process. Anyhow guys, if you found the video interesting or useful, don't forget to give it a like, and make sure you go and check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more BMW DIY videos. Consider subscribing if that's your cup of tea. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.